wanted to cooperate. They were sitting in the courtroom with the state prosecutor. The judge learns that ICE was outside to get the guy because he had been deported in 2013, came back in our country, commits these crimes, charged with committing these crimes, victims in court. Judge finds out. She goes out in the hallway, screams at the immigration officers. She's furious, visibly shaken, upset, sends them off to talk to the chief judge. She comes back in the courtroom, you're not going to believe this, takes the defendant and the defense attorney back in her chambers, takes them out a private exit and tells them to leave, while a state prosecutor and victims of domestic violence are sitting in the courtroom.
Wow.
You know, Madam Attorney General, great to have you here, and thanks for coming back on America Report. So we remember these words of Tom Homan, the border czar. This was March 17th, and his message on these judges who apparently are trying to get in the way of this administration's efforts. Listen.
I'm proud to be a part of this administration. We're not stopping. I don't care what the judges think. I don't care what the left thinks. We're coming.
So when you see these judges trying to obstruct your efforts to make this country safer, what is your message to them?
We are going to prosecute you, and we are prosecuting you. I found out about this the day it happened. We could not believe, actually, that a judge really did that. We looked into the facts in great depth. That's her picture up on the screen, Hannah Dugan, who is now in custody. You cannot obstruct a criminal case, and really, shame on her. It was a domestic violence case of all cases, and she's protecting a criminal defendant over victims of crime.
In fact, she just had an initial appearance in court. There's also...
And just so you guys realize, this is also a product of... sanctuary cities, things of that nature. So, like in my former life, I worked in with courts and stuff like that, and this is something that would happen all the time. It would be ICE or some other federal agency was there to pick somebody up for whatever reason. The local authorities would not cooperate. So essentially, what they would do is, the person would have to go through the entire process for their state or local jurisdiction, case, whatever that is, and there's no set time as to when you're done with this, right? So let's say you're being prosecuted locally, local jurisdiction for an assault case, whatever, or misdemeanor assault case. You could be in there for 2 hours. You could be in there for 2 days. So. All the federal agencies usually want is, hey, just give me a heads up when this guy's ready to go. That's all they're looking for the most part. It's not, they're not going to be invited in, maybe in some jurisdictions they are, but to the best of my knowledge on the things that I've dealt with, they're not invited in to a courthouse to grab the guy as soon as he's done with the current thing. That would be nice, right? It's a lot less of a headache, but at the very least, just say, hey, this guy's in here for X. Just when he's maybe an hour ready to go, before he's ready to go, give us a heads up so we can go there. We can get someone and go pick him up. That's not being done in any of these cities, right? In this situation, they took it a step further, right? Obviously, she subverted the officers and actually helped the perpetrator in this case evade them, which is a crime. There's no two ways about that. You can't do that, right? If somebody's telling you the person I know is wanted, he's there, you cannot go inside and have that person run out through the back. That you can't do that. You don't have to force them to come out. Maybe they don't have a warrant to enter. All that stuff is fine, right? You could say, yeah, he's in there, but he's not willing to come out. Okay, then we have to get a warrant and enter. All that stuff is fine. You can't open up a tunnel underneath your house and have him escape. That you can't do. Now, you could say he just found it. There's ways around it, but this was unbelievable.
So this other case coming out of New Mexico, Judge Joel Cano and his wife were arrested for harboring a TDA member at their home. The alleged TDA member had been picked up by law enforcement, and now he and his wife were picked up and arrested. And you say that you believe, as the Attorney General, that the person that they were having living at their home was a truly potentially bad individual.
Yeah, that's the judge up on the screen now who got arrested. Yeah, his name is Ortega. He is a known TDA member, So he comes through Eagle Pass December 2023. He's living in our country. January 2025, ICE, they get a tip. Tom Homan's done a great job. Our FBI did a great job on this case too. They get a tip that he is living with a judge and the judge's wife. So they have him arrested first on immigration charges. A Judge Damian Martinez releases him saying that Judge Cano has a good BS meter and wouldn't let just anyone live on his property.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the associations with this violent Venezuelan gang, Tren de Aragua, and this person that they harbored in their home, he was showing signs through clothing, we were told, tattoos. There was evidence through voice messages and text messages of his association to TDA. So what charges will Cano and his wife face, if any?
So Judge Cano, soon to be former Judge Cano, got his charges were just unsealed. He's charged with obstruction. He admitted post Miranda. He took one of the TDA members' cell phones himself, took it, beat it with a hammer, destroyed it, and then walked the pieces to a city dumpster to dispose of it to protect him. The wife also is charged with destroying evidence. Sandra, not only that, this TDA member, and he had on a necklace that said kill, something about death. He had tattoos all over him. He also had on his cell phone pictures of two decapitated victims, decapitated, gruesome photos, and he was sending them out, and whoever he was sending them to was sending back saying, hey, you need to be careful. You shouldn't be sending these. You shouldn't be texting these photos out. Not only that, these two, the judge and his wife, gave him assault rifles that belonged to their daughter. That's what they're charged with. In the criminal report affidavit, he goes to a shooting range with these assault rifles, with a suppressor, with other known TDA members, and they're shooting. This is the last person that we want in our country. How
wild is that? It's you know what I equate this to? It's very similar. It's like you know when like when somebody goes to like an island that's like wasn't occupied. It's there's people living on there, and they're natives. They've never seen another person before or another type of people before, and they go on there and they think it's going to be nice, and they end up getting murdered and eaten. These people, they have no sense of survival instinct. They have. It's just an amazing thing for an average person to think that just everybody is good, and my God, I don't know how these people survive. Like, how do you survive that entire time? You're just super insulated in your little world, and your pleasure palace and what. It's just, that is insane. She said they have a daughter. They're giving these guys assault weapon. That's not a real term, but they're giving them rifles to go shoot, at a range. My God, it's astounding.
Nor will we ever tolerate a judge or anyone else harboring them.
Let me, if I could, Madam Attorney General, come back to the Wisconsin case and Judge Hannah Dugan, because in allegedly letting the perpetrator and the attorney out through a non-public exit and allowed them to get out in front of the building, we had a situation where we've seen that I know Tom Homan was complaining about in Colorado, where there would be no transfer of a defendant from a jail to ICE custody on a detainer request in a way that was orderly and protected public safety. They would dump them off in a parking lot, and then ICE would have to chase them around with DEA or whatever, or FBI, and pick them up. This ended up in a foot chase in public sight. It says here, a foot chase ensued. The agents, and this was a DEA agent and FBI agent, pursued Flores Ruiz for the entire length of the courthouse, ultimately apprehended him near the intersection of West State Street and 10th Street. So the judge apparently has created a situation here where you have a public foot chase. And we all know that, well, sometimes they can come off without incident. They can also turn into very dangerous situations.
John, that's exactly right.
So what happens if they're chasing this guy and they'll get hit by a bus? What are people like? What are they thinking? What is going through your mind? We had a say, in my line of work, the saying was, it is what it is. Like, all right, this is shitty. You don't like it. And I get it. Maybe she doesn't like it. Whatever. She thinks this guy is being taken advantage of her, but it is what it is. That's it. They're here. They got him. All right, buddy, listen, you've had a good run. It's over. To put your entire career but you know what? This is exactly what has to happen. They have to get prosecuted. People have to see this. This needs to be blasted out everywhere, which it is, thankfully, because we just have to get to following the rules. Everybody has to follow the rules. Everybody, no matter what.
Put the lives of our law enforcement officers at risk. She put the lives of citizens at risk. A street chase, which is absurd that had to happen. But yes, she put a lot of people in danger. That judge did it. So did the other judge. Judge Cano is charged with. They were allegedly giving him assault rifles, AK-47s, AR-15s, with a suppressor, a known TDA member, letting him go to a shooting range to refine and perfect his shooting skills. What's happened to our judiciary is beyond me.
Yeah, so when the American public hears this and they think these were once upstanding people in their communities and their professions, and they put it all on the line for this, I mean, have you dug into their motive? Like, what inspired them to carry out these acts and harbor criminals?
They're deranged is all I can think of. I cannot believe, I think some of these judges think they are beyond and above the law, and they are not. And we're sending a very strong message today. If you are harboring a fugitive, we don't care who you are. If you are helping hide one, if you are giving a TDA member guns, anyone who is illegally in this country, we will come after you and we will prosecute you. We will find you.
If I could just finish off with this idea, very significant development that you're arresting judges now. Now, it could be that the judges have engaged in terribly bad behavior and deserve to be arrested. But you know what critics will say? They'll say, oh, this is a government that is expanding the powers of the Article 1 of the Constitution. Now they're arresting judges. How do you respond to that?
No one is above the law, John. No one is above the law in this country. And if you are destroying evidence, if you are obstructing justice, when you have victims sitting in a courtroom of domestic violence and you're escorting a criminal defendant out a back door, it will not be tolerated, and it is a crime in the United States of America. Doesn't matter who you are, you're going to be prosecuted.
Madam Attorney General, great to see you in the studio.
Great to see you.
Okay,
Appreciate
thank
your
you
time.
very much.
And the same people, you know, they would say would have said the exact same thing when it came to Trump and all of his charges, right? He's not above the law. And if you take even a surface level understanding of any of those cases, you just know how ridiculous those cases were, right? But here you have clean cut issues, situations where people are harboring criminals, and the left is going to have a major issue with this, right? They're going to say, "Oh, what? Just because they're judges." The only reason you have an issue with this person going to jail is you're going to hide the fact that they're an elected judge. What does that have to do with anything, right? You guys try putting the freaking president of the United States in jail. So now all of a sudden I have to have sympathy for a judge who clearly, as clear as day, did something wrong. If you want to talk about Trump inflating the cost of his properties, or a woman claiming that he groped her 30 years ago, I mean, okay, I'll go along with you here, but I'm not really buying it. Color me paint me skeptic, paint me a skeptic, but you have these clear cut cases where there was an absolute crime committed in front of all these people. Everyone saw it. I'm sure there's even body camera of this stuff. There's nowhere to go on this one. They've lost their minds. They've absolutely lost their minds. And there is a massive amount of people out there that are like this, that are willing to do this. And I hope they continue. And I hope they get arrested, continue to be arrested, and do exactly the same thing to them that they would have done to people on the right, had the people on the right, broken the law or whatever. It has to be done. It has to be done. I'm glad to see it. Thanks a lot, guys. Subscribe to the channel. We'll hit you again on the next video. Thanks a lot for coming out. See you soon.